What is going on? We are back.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's. Happy holidays, guys. As always, we're here to do what we do best, and that's talk some sports. So, NFL, college football championship, NBA, WWE, college basketball. We're Sports Moods. 2 Moody's,
1 duty.
Sports. Let go. What's going on, guys? As always, it is C Moody here with
D Moody,
and we are Sports Moods. Guys, like we said in the intro, Happy New Year's. It is now officially 2018. Technically, we're 8 days into it. So, it's just been a minute. D Moody, talk to him.
Well, first off, we hope that everybody had a great Christmas
Definitely.
and New Year's. I don't know how many of you set New Year's resolutions for this year, but you're a week into the new year, so hopefully you are still holding strong to whatever that resolution may be.
Right.
But a lot's happened in the world of sports since we last did our podcast. We got a lot of stuff we want to cover with you guys. As C. Moody mentioned, it's a big college football playoff national championship game tonight between Alabama and Georgia. I'm really excited for that. As far as the NFL, we know the playoffs are now underway. But before we get into some playoff talk, we want to find out, for those of you who follow our podcast, we know that each week we pick every game.
Yep.
And we need to find out who ended the season as the guru of the year. It's been a tight race throughout the entire season between me and C. Moody. He's had a couple of weeks with the lead. I've had a couple of weeks with the lead. It's been back and forth. So everything has been tallied up and the results are in. We're going to reveal that to you. We're also going to recap the wild card weekend and give you our picks for the divisional round of the playoffs. And then we're also going to give you guys our opinion of who we think is going to be the NFL MVP.
That's right. So, last time we were here, we were getting into week 15, and C. Moody, was on top 133-75, 2 ahead of D. Moody at 131-77. Since then, we've had week 15, week 16, week 17. And since we don't have a drum roll effect, I'm going to just give the most, I guess, anticipatory kind of effect I can. Without further ado, 2017-18 Guru of the Year. Sports Moods Guru of the Year goes to D. Moody, topping me out by 6 at 165 wins and 95 L's versus me at 159 and 97. So, humbly, D. Moody, you deserve it. He's over with his hand in his face like he's crying right now. Yeah, man, you definitely got it. The last 2 weeks, he won the last 3 weeks straight, 12-4, 11-5, and 11-5. I went downhill, starting at 10-6 to 9-7, and ending with 7-9. So, D. Moody, go ahead and speech.
First off, I want to thank God. Right. But it's been a lot of fun this year. Since we've been doing this podcast back in August, I thought it was, when we were coming up with ideas for the podcast, this was one of the ones I thought we'd have the most fun with, in terms of like trying to pick every game and keep a track of it through the entire season. And it actually was a competitive thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of weeks where you started out the first week where you just kind of came out the gate strong, and then it took me a little while to build up. And then it was some back and forth weeks. I honestly didn't think I was going to win. Because the last couple weeks of the season is always the hardest to pick, because you got teams who've already clinched playoff, and you don't know if they're going to play their starters or their best players are going to be available to play, because they don't want to risk them getting hurt. So I just kind of went with my gut feeling on a lot of those picks, and we were just kind of texting each other back and forth every week, letting each other know who we decided to go with so we could keep up with it. But I honestly didn't think I was going to win. But since I did, I just want to say I told you so.
You did.
It was going to happen. Did. You just didn't believe. You didn't, but, the results are in. Very competitive, but
yeah,
there's always next year. So there's always next year, Mr. C. Moody. You put up a good fight. I will give it to you.
I think what hurts worse is the fact that the Rams lost yesterday and then I lose today. And it's just
not a good.
It's not a good week for me right now.
It's not a good start to the year as far as the sports moods go. But we still got a long year.
We got a long year, man. Maybe I'll catch up in something else. I don't know.
You will. We will, and we'll probably try to. Try to do something else competitive like this. With the NBA, is much harder. Maybe when we get down to
probably have to do playoffs
honestly. Or something like that, where it's like a 7-game series or whatever. Maybe try to pick some kind of way to try to keep track with it that way.
Right.
But I'm officially Guru of the Year. Congratulations to me. First off, I want to thank me, myself, and I.
You deserve it, man. Definitely, man. Proud of you. So, man, now with that being said, we are, in fact, into the playoffs. We just passed the wild card weekend, which we did do picks on that as well. In between the games, we had Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans. Tennessee pulling it out 22-21. Both of us went for KC. And, of course, we were wrong. Then you wanted to comment?
Just quick. Wasn't it back? If my memory serves me correct, sometimes it does get away from me. Wasn't it back in week 1 when they went in to New England Banner Night and we wanted to crown the Chiefs as the champions of all time, and they beat the Patriots, and it was
Yeah, after their bye week, they went hard. Well, really before their bye week, and then they just happened to drop even harder. Mm-hmm. It was honestly a surprise to me that they made it in the playoffs, considering how hard they feel starting that week 10.
It was a huge and a hard fall from grace for them. But they managed to do enough to get in, but
not enough to get past Mariota.
5-0 they start the season, and Tennessee, I don't think anyone really gave them a chance to go in there and win. It was some crazy stuff happened in that game. I think they had like a 21-3 lead.
Yep. I thought it was over.
I did too.
I wasn't able to watch it like any of these games except the end of Carolina and the Saints. And when I saw the stat on my app, I was like, well, this is over. And then all of a sudden they were like, Tennessee takes the lead with so-and-so time left. I was like, oh my goodness.
And it was actually, did you know in that game Marcus Mariota completed a touchdown pass to himself?
That is they were at work, they were talking about it, and I was like, how did he do that? Now I'm gonna really have to go back and check the highlights on that. That's mine.
Basically what it was, he was like scrambling down toward the end zone, threw the ball, somehow it got batted in the air, and he runs up under it, catches it, and dives in the end zone.
Oh my goodness.
It was like bang bang. He was like he's rolling out, he's throwing it, it gets tapped, it gets batted up, he falls underneath it and just dives in the end zone for the touchdown.
That's hard right there.
I mean, that's crazy, man. I mean, you think of all the things that just the recent playoff history for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And to have to go through that, crazy, man.
Better luck next year. I mean, I can say that with pride because this next game I'm saying is the same situation for me. Atlanta fended off, I can't say magnificently. A horrible performance by my LA Rams. They pulled out a good win, 26-13. Of course, I went for my boys. D. Moody went for Atlanta. He got it right. I got it wrong. Really, we just weren't ready. It just seemed we showed our youth, our inexperience in this game. Not to mention our special teams. They panicked, basically, to say the least.
To me, I just thought you didn't play bad, but like I said in the beginning, you didn't play great either.
Right.
And Atlanta didn't play that great either. It was kind of a back and forth game. And like I said, Atlanta just played keep away because it was a field goal game back and forth. And I didn't even know that you guys' kicker was out. Mm-hmm. Zerline was out with injury. So I felt like I noticed when I saw you guys kick one field. I was like, wait a minute, that's not Zerline. I was like, is he injured or something? And they said that he was.
Yeah.
So I was just like, Jared Goff, to me, I just think like they didn't give the ball enough to Ty Gurley to allow him to do what he does best.
Right.
And some people criticize you guys because you sat them down the last week of the season. I guess you want to avoid the risk of getting people hurt. But, and again, given the fact that you saw what happened to Carson Wentz, even though it was probably like 3 or 4 weeks earlier before the end of the season. But, I mean, Atlanta, I guess the experience, like you said, played a factor. They were young. So I still think you guys you'll be fine.
I'm hoping, I'm pretty confident in seeing them next year. So, next game, Buffalo going into Jacksonville. Low scoring game to say the least, 10-3. Jacksonville pulls it off. I mean, going into the divisionals next week. I mean, we both went for Jacksonville. So
it wasn't a pretty game. I caught bits and pieces of it while I was at work. It's a power struggle defensive game. They did get a touchdown late in the game. I think Jacksonville did, on a 4th and goal play, Blake Bortles touchdown pass, and then I think Tyrod Taylor went out of the game with an injury, and the backup quarterback had to come in. Even though they didn't know if they were going to have Shady McCoy because he injured his ankle week 17, and then they didn't think he would be able to start in the game, but he actually did play. I think he ran it for 17 times for 80-something yards or something like that. Okay. But at the end of the game, it was sealed with the interception for Jacksonville, and then they went on to win there in the divisionals.
Yep. Man, good win for Jacksonville. Hopefully they can fend off next week's competitor, we'll get to in a minute, man. The last game of the wild card weekend, Sunday afternoon, Carolina Panthers trying. Good game going into the Saints. I didn't like I said, I caught the end of it. It was pretty bad. I know a lot of people, more so Carolina fans, was arguing about the intentional grounding call on Cam.
That was pretty close, though.
Yeah, it can go either way, I guess, depending on your knowledge of that call in general. I was just like, oh, okay, that's a foul.
And a lot of people made the argument, hey, if that's Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees,
would they
get that call?
I agree. I honestly think so. Mm-hmm. I think they would definitely Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. They would have definitely.
Hey.
No, you see, I added Aaron Rodgers not to make it seem like it was all favoritism, but but definitely New Orleans holds them off. They come back necessarily and then hold them off at the end, 31-26. Both of us went New Orleans, so.
And then the thing is, Carolina has lost to New Orleans 3 times this year.
Right.
And that's why a lot of the times when you were doing your top 5, it's like, how can you put the Panthers ahead of the Saints if they've beat them every time they play them? It is hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. I think they said the stat on that was anytime a team has lost to a team twice in the regular season, when they played them in the playoffs, they were 5-11 versus that team. So most of the time, you lose to them 3 times in a row.
Right.
But Carolina, I mean, they're still a decent team. I just felt like they were up and down this year. Cam was very mature, I would say, in his press conference. I was very proud of the way that he handled that situation. He took ownership of everything. Even though one of his statements were kind of well, it was some of us that were just excited to be in the playoffs, but, we are here to win a game. So he kind of took a jab at some of his teammates, but mostly I would say 89 to 90% of it was he blamed himself.
I don't blame that. I don't blame him for saying that part. I mean, because some people, like you said, just embrace the fact of being there. Some people forget the mission because they're kind of caught up in the spectacle.
Understood. And then just to, given the fact of recent history with him, how he does after losses and stuff. So I was proud to see that from him.
Definitely, man. So that's the wild card. So we're going to predict on the divisionals right now because of the wild cards that we predicted on. D. Moody is up again, 3-1, while I am 2-2.
What is it with me, man?
I don't know, man. You're like the Patriots. You got, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that means
I call up Bill every week, and me, him, and Tom and Robert Kraft, we all talk about this, and I consult them on what they think.
That makes sense. I mean, definitely you can call Roger Goodell and just say, "Hey, I want this team to win." Okay, so get Bob Kraft's refs over to Pittsburgh or whatever. So divisional weekend is what's coming up, man. We got Atlanta into Philly. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Atlanta, and for the spread, Atlanta's favorite to win this game. I think they are favored to win by 6 points.
Okay.
Just for the simple fact of there's no Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part. Nick Foles is a decent backup, but you can tell the differences. Like the last couple of weeks for him, it's different. It's very different.
Right.
The Eagles still have a pretty good defense, but this time of year in the playoffs, it's all about your quarterback and how they lead you through the playoff journey, and I just feel like Atlanta has that experience. And even Atlanta's a 6 seed, but I just feel like they're so much better than a 6 seed because of virtually the same team that we saw go to the Super Bowl last year, choke it away. But now I just kind of feel like toward the end of the year they were able to kind of start putting things together, and they're building momentum. So I think they're getting better with that.
Right. I don't know, man. I might actually go the opposite way with you on this one. I might go Philly. I think I'm gonna go Eagles on this one. So only because even though Carson Wentz is out,
you gonna go Eagles?
I'm going Eagles. I think that they're still more of a complete team than Atlanta to me.
Okay.
I mean, the Nick Foles being in for Carson Wentz is going to make a dramatic difference. So, but I just feel like if the rest of the Eagles can rally around that low point, then they got this one.
I don't know. It's still not a first year head coach, but this is like his first playoff run with the Eagles.
Right.
For Doug Peterson. I just feel like, Atlanta just has a little bit more going for them right now. I think they have the experience card in their favor, Matt Ryan. But, if the defense, can come out and play well, they can get pressure on Ryan, cause some turnovers. It could be a shocker that Philly wins.
Yeah. So, next game, we got Tennessee going to New England to take on
I hate to have to do it, man.
Patriots.
I just hate to see it. The momentum that the Titans they're just all the excitement about them winning in Kansas City just to have to get the right to play the Patriots. And with all that's going on with the Patriots right now, I think they're going to have a lot to prove because I don't know if you've been hearing over the last few days or so that they feel like it's a rift going on between Bob Kraft, Brady, Belichick, and there very well could be, but you would never know in New England because they try to keep everything in the house so much, and they do a really good job at deflecting stuff. And when questions are asked, they sidestep and they just focus on what's in front of them. And I think Tennessee is just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, they're going to run into an angry Patriots team, a very angry Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad.
I think New England takes it. I think it's a landslide.
Yeah. Yeah, that's both ways. So I'm definitely going to New England on this one. I like Marcus Mariota, man. I really do. But yeah, this is where age and experience is just going to be too much. Mm-hmm. So next game we got Jacksonville Jaguars and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Where honestly, as confident as I want to be about the Steelers, I really feel like
and you said that all year.
This is one of the upsets that's possible, but
you haven't really trusted them all year.
Yeah,
you just feel like they've just
like they're winning. They are. They're not a bad team. And they show that even in their lows, they still win. Mm-hmm. It's just they don't look like a good team to me all the way. Like they have their good points. They have the top three of the great players of this year. With the killer bees, all of them, Roethlisberger, Brown, Bell, even Bosley, the kicker this year.
Bosley said he's credited for about 3 or 4 of those wins.
Oh, definitely.
Because of him. So, I feel like with Pittsburgh, they have the experience. I like Mike Tomlin as a coach, and then Ben is experienced when it comes to the playoffs and stuff like that. But I feel kind of the same way. I'm not going to go to the full extent and say Jacksonville's winning this game because I do feel like Pittsburgh has some revenge on their mind given the way that Jacksonville beat them earlier in the year. 30-9. Big Ben threw 5 picks in that game. I think they ran for over 200-something yards on that Steeler defense. Yep. A lot of stuff went wrong for the Steelers on that day, and I think even though that was back in Week 5, these two teams are totally different at this point, but I just feel like the Steelers have that remembrance of that game, and they really want to go out and prove that, hey, that we have to avenge that loss.
You know what? I'm going on a whim. I'm going to go Jacksonville.
Wow.
I'm going on a win,
You're just
man.
you do know you're just making the road easier for the Patriots to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Jacksonville, if those are the teams we're going to have to beat to get there. I'll take that. I'll take that every year. So, I mean, could be, but I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
I don't blame you. I really don't. I truly don't blame you for picking Pittsburgh. Hopefully, maybe in these last couple of weeks, that if they're going to be any kind of contenders for not only getting through this week, but making it to the Super Bowl and getting past the Patriots, they're going to have to be as complete as I feel like they should already be. Mm-hmm. So that's just my own skepticism against them. But still a great team. Pittsburgh is still a great team. I give my little brother like a whole bunch of crap about them because I was like, they're the worst 11 and so team when they was like the worst 13, whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, they're still a great team. So.
They are. And Jacksonville's still a young team, and that could play a factor. And then you're taking a warm weather team from Florida going up into the cold and possible snow or whatever the weather conditions could be up there.
That's true.
So
that's true. Last game we got for the divisions, New Orleans Saints versus the Minnesota Vikings. Honestly, between all of these games, I feel like this is the only one that might seem evenly matched between. Okay. Like possibly Atlanta and Philly, but this one I feel like is a true evenly matched game, except for the quarterbacks.
I mean, these two teams played back in week 1. Yeah. And remember, Sam Bradford was the quarterback, and Adrian Peterson was on and everybody said, "Oh, Adrian Peterson is going back to Minnesota for the first time ever, not as a Viking." And now you flash back from week 1 to now, and you look how both of these teams have blossomed from there. They're just that much better. And what Case Keenum has done, the only thing that gets me with Minnesota, and like I brought it up in a couple of our podcasts in weeks past, is they're hosting the Super Bowl this year. You have that pressure of...
That's true.
Maybe that could be motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, you could possibly have the Super Bowl as a home game.
Exactly.
If you win your 2 playoff games. But it's never happened in history.
Right.
So, and I'm always for history until someone proves me otherwise. And just what the Saints have done all year, I mean, against Carolina, they kind of challenged them to have Drew Brees throw the ball more because we know the Saints can run with both of those running backs with Kamara and Ingram. And so I'm anxious to see what Minnesota's going to try to take away from them.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like the Saints, okay, you take away our run game and we'll just beat you with Drew Brees. Okay, you take away Drew Brees, we'll beat you with this. Okay, if you try to evenly go up against us, then we'll surprise you with something different. Yeah. So I'm going Saints just because of the whole Super Bowl thing. And I just think they're a little bit more experienced and they got just a little bit more, talent than Minnesota has right now.
I totally agree with you. I actually feel like I'm going with Saints. And I'm going with Saints because I feel like the run game is just going to do it. Mm-hmm. Minnesota's going to find a way. Like you said, there's going to be a equal and opposite reaction to what they do. They might have a good way to slow down Drew Brees, but their run game, I don't know Minnesota for having a real good run defense.
They're good, though. I mean, their defense is solid, but I've always seen them really strong against the pass.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So in that's where I'm going with. I'm agreeing with you on the Saints.
Okay.
So that's our division, man. That's what's going on. Like I said, you're up in the playoffs already, 3-1. I'm 2-2. Guru of the year. So once again, man, congratulations to D. Moody. You deserve it, my friend.
And the confetti's falling on.
Right.
Even though you guys can't see it.
With his Patriots toboggan on right now.
Well, you have your Rams on right now.
Hey.
But one more thing we want to hit before we close out the NFL segment is
MVP.
Who we think is going to be the NFL MVP of 2017-2018. The candidates, from what I've gathered, is Todd Gurley from C. Moody's Rams, who he picked that would be in the NFC Championship, but we're going to move forward from that. Carson Wentz, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know went down like in week 12 or 13 with ACL injury.
Yeah, man. Sad to see.
Sad to see. He was my front runner for it before all that took place. Antonio Brown from the Steelers was in the conversation for MVP. I think you said you saw
Drew
Brees in the mix of that. And then
there's
then there's one. There's always one that just. And if any group or any faction or any organization, there's always one person that just stands out. Like even in a group, in a music group or a rap group or R&B group, there's always one person that stands out.
Get it over with.
Destiny's Child was Beyonce.
Shoot
right?
me now.
What was the little boy band?
Huh?
NSYNC.
NSYNC.
Wasn't Justin Timberlake? Wasn't he the one that stood out?
Yeah.
There's always one in a group that always stands out, and it's Tom Brady. I mean, he's that person that always stands out. And to me, I think he should have more MVPs, but I think just like sometimes he's a prisoner of his own success because we come to accustomed to expecting that from Tom Brady, and a lot of times when we see that, it's just like, oh, it's Tom Brady. He's supposed to do that. So we don't really appreciate what he's doing. But this year, I have more of an appreciation because of his age, for one. Yeah, he's 40 years old, and he is playing like he is 24 years old.
He is.
And it seems like with the older he gets, the better he gets. I think he's better at 40 than he was when he was 24. And usually that's vice versa. So I think if I had to nail it down and say who the MVP of the league is, would be Mr. Tom Brady. Who would you have?
Honestly, I mean, I looked on ESPN.com and seen what the votes look. So I'm not going to spoil it for whoever doesn't know or have an idea who's going to be the MVP. Kind of figured my idea isn't going to win it, but I initially said, and I said before the podcast started, was Drew Brees. And I talked about he wasn't always the ultimate factor that he had to be in recent years. Like it's solely the Saints games relied on his arm, but this year they had the two-headed monster in the field with Kamara and Ingram. Mm-hmm. Ingram. So, but he's still the nucleus. He still has to drive I mean, of course, they have offensive coordinators, but he still makes the big calls, and he's still Drew Brees. He still has it. It's not like because he has something to spread the ball out that's diminished his performance. So that's why I was going to go with Drew Brees.
You caught me with a curveball there because I thought you would go with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had a great year.
He did. Man. He had a really good year this year.
But I guess by losing,
not even that. Honestly,
the wild card game.
I really just felt like this wasn't his best year yet.
The best is yet to come.
Right. So for me, like seeing him this year was what I've always expected Todd Gurley to do. So it was like, okay, yeah, he's doing this. He got all these highlights. He's hurdling people and all this stuff. It's like.
And I don't remember the last time a running back won the MVP. Maybe it was during the days of LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah.
I think he may be the last one to have won it because most of the time it's been a quarterback award like for the last 8-9 years or so.
Right.
So, and I guess because the way the game has changed, it's more of a pass-happy league now. We're throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, and we have so many rules that's set up to favor the offense. So, but I mean, I would say Brady. You say Breeze. I guess they'll usually reveal the MVP winner the week going into the Super Bowl when they do the NFL Honors Award. Okay. So we'll find out for sure.
We shall.
Mr. Brady's going to bring in his third MVP of his career. You do know he was the first ever unanimous NFL MVP. It's only one time that's happened in history.
Really?
He was the only one to do it back in 2007. No, actually, 2010.
Of course he did.
You don't sound like you were too thrilled about that.
It's tough.
I mean, you guys, the Rams have had MVPs back in their day.
Yeah.
They had Marshall Faulk. You had Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
So why can't the Patriots?
It's been the Patriots for like.
It's coming to an end. Just give us another year. Might come to an end this year if we win. It'll be over. You don't have to deal with us ever again. We'll ride off into the sunset and we'll go quietly into the night, and we'll unleash our shackles off of the NFL. We will release you guys. Like Moses said, let my people go. We will finally, Pharaoh will let the people go.
Oh, wow. On that note, we are
Gonna take a break.
Going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into WWE. We got a lot to talk about. There's actually some titles that's changed hands. And we're getting ready for the pay-per-view coming up, which is Royal Rumble. After that, we'll get into some basketball action. And, of course, we're going to talk about the NCAA College Championship game coming up tonight. We are Sports Moods. 2 Moodies.
1 duty.
Sports. We'll be right back. What's going on, guys? We are back. C. Moody here with
D. Moody.
And we are Sports Moods. We just got over NFL and we're into the playoffs now, getting ready for the division of the playoffs. Last, 8 teams? But yeah, we done talked about that. We're getting into some good old wrestling, WWE. It's time to catch up. But since we've missed, Raw, SmackDown for the last couple of weeks or whatsoever, has to be some title situations going on. And I just want to say, all the titles are still in the same hands. Almost. Roman still has Intercontinental. Enzo Amore still has Cruiserweight. Of course, Brock Lesnar. He comes once every 2 months. He still has his Universal Championship. AJ Styles still has the WWE Heavyweight. Alexa Bliss still has the Raw Women's. Charlotte Flair still has the SmackDown Women's. And the Usos still have the SmackDown tags. But they almost lost it for 1 second in a match against Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. But they made them start over. What happened? I haven't caught any of this.
So what happened was, I guess the twin factor helped. Because the legal man wasn't pinned. And the referee noticed that after he already counted it down, and Benjamin and Gable celebrating, they're going back up the ramp, and the referee's like, no, and then they found out, and then the referee told the ring announcers, like, this match is going to be restarted because of the legal man was not pinned. This match restarts now. And they're sitting there looking like, are you kidding me? And then the Usos got advantage over them and won.
That's crazy.
Because I thought they had one. I was like, they literally let the title, change hands on a. Usually SmackDown doesn't do that. Raw do that all the time, but SmackDown usually waits till their pay-per-view for the title to change. I was shocked.
So definitely, but besides that little temporary exchange, we do have a team that is the new champs that nobody would have expected. If there was a month or 2 months before this, and we would have said these two people would be the Raw Tag Team Champions, and nobody would have thought of it. Mm-hmm. And this team is Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan, of all people. Of course, now, point of the matter is, if you don't know, of course, they played it off well for Dean to get injured off the show, but he legit was injured. Mm-hmm. And so they used Samoa Joe hurting him to play him off to make it look, more believable as him, instead of him just taking a leave of absence for injury. So in that absence, I started to watch a little bit of that that night, and they were showing that both of them were just in there with Kurt as always. He was like, we're gonna put both of you guys together in a match for the championship. So
because they had a little riff a week prior to that, because of, I think, Jordan had a little thing with Samoa Joe there for a while because he fought Roman a couple weeks back, and Roman beat him to retain the IC title.
Right. And
then he still wanted a piece of Samoa Joe, but then Angle had made the match for Seth Rollins to fight Samoa Joe, and then he comes down to the ring and him and Seth have words, and he kind of shoves Seth Rollins down. And it started out as like they were beefing a little bit, and then Angle, I guess he loves to try to be devil's advocate. So, okay, since you guys can't get along, I'm gonna put you on a team.
Put you guys
together, and you can sort this thing out. So when they actually ended up beating Sheamus and Cesaro, which it was shocking to me. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this, but maybe it's something different, so I'm going to give it a chance and see how it goes.
I heard the dynamic's pretty interesting. Of course, Jason being like the arrogant or still whiny baby of Kurt Angle, and then Seth being like, oh my, you really aren't good. Like, you're too pompous. Mm-hmm. And I think he won a singles match or something to spite Seth Rollins, like, you're really still going to get beat. So. And
then the thing was, because I think it was last week, Sheamus and Cesaro was in the ring complaining, as always, about why they, lost the belts and wanting a rematch and all that. And then Jordan comes down talking trash and, going in their face and stuff. And Seth Rollins comes down. He was like, the thing you have to realize, Jason, is when you're a tag team champion, whatever you do affects me too. So if you come down here by yourself, you get jumped by Sheamus and Cesaro, that literally affects me too, because that draws me to have to go to action and come down here. So it wasn't smart of you to come down here by yourself. He said you have to be smart. Seth is always trying to coach him, architect. Like, you got to be smart about what you're doing. And Jason is more of the reactionary person. Like, I'm just gonna snap at it and go for it. And Seth is like, no, you got to think about it before you do it.
And I think this actually might be the best thing for Jason Jordan right now, which just shows the fact that they should have kept him in a tag. But still, even this is more of allowing Jason to build his character than American Alpha.
Yeah, it was. Because he really wasn't talking as much or doing much.
It was just a good wrestling team, which, of course, they were exciting to see in American Alpha. But with this, like you say, you can actually build a story around that. So, yeah.
And a lot of people still feel he's getting favoritism from Angle because that's his son and all of that. Because then Sheamus was, actually Cesaro was kind of getting on Kurt Angle. Was like, you as the Raw general manager, you're out here celebrating with him after they won the tag team championship.
Right. It's his son. You want me to be mad at my son?
I guess you're the boss. You can't show favor, but he shows him favoritism regardless.
Right. So that's pretty much the major thing that's happened. Another thing that's been going on with WWE is just a little side one. I think it's interesting whenever I hear or see about it. Enzo Amore is having a love affair with Nia Jax, which, like I said earlier, when we first started seeing this happen, is because from Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube, they say it's to kind of get Nia Jax out of interacting with Absolution, the new team of Paige. What's the other girls? Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose.
I know their names, but the ones on
Riot Squad.
I can't think of their.
I don't know. All I know is Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott, and I think Sarah Logan, and I can always forget the other girl's name.
We'll have to go back.
I always forget her name.
But yeah, so I think it's funny. I like the dynamic because it's like for the first couple of weeks that I was able to see it, that Drew Gulak is always playing this like the blocker. Like every time they're kind of like getting close and everybody, you hear the crowd go ooh, and then all of a sudden Drew is like,
he just pops up.
Hey Joe, hey Enzo, I gotta do this. And Enzo's face is just so genuine. It's like, oh my god, like no, you seriously ruined everything. And I think that's hilarious. I mean, I hate the fact that what it's doing is trying to making Nia into a gimmick right now.
Like I didn't understand. Saying because a couple weeks ago she came down with everybody when they attacked, and then now you're like you can't pick and choose when you want to throw her in there. But I don't know, it's the WWE. So
and then speaking of women, which we noticed I think a week or two ago, Stephanie McMahon comes down to introduce for the first time ever we have a that'll work. First ever 30-woman Royal Rumble match.
Oh my god!
Right? Oh, women. No, let's not be. I don't want to sound too sarcastic. No, this really is an excellent thing.
It is. I'm happy for them
because the women's division has really gotten really competitive. It actually does look great to see them if they use people more like they should.
I mean, we've seen some history-breaking stuff with women over the last year. We saw
definitely
Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank, and now Royal Rumble. So.
Yeah. So
you might as well. I mean, you have championships.
James Ellsworth's going to come back and win.
Or what's my guy name that used to dress up like a woman? Santina.
Oh yeah, Santina. Boy, if he comes back, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry laughing. But of course, I know we've talked about it here and there. Some speculating that's going to come back that's not going to come back, but going to come into the WWE. Ronda Rousey. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that this would be where she breaks into the WWE.
Because you know how sometimes you have those little break-in, like those celebrity entrances in the Royal Rumble.
So if anything, that'll be not only her being a celebrity entrance, but that also shows that she wins and kind of makes her kind of have to stay. You know, if she isn't already given a WWE contract, because I know in recent weeks Shayna Baszler is signed with WWE now. So
I think it's a good thing for him. I mean, because like you have champions on both shows, and it just give you a chance to utilize the women. Because I know a lot of times they don't really get as much airtime as the guys get, and you know I think this is a good way to kind of utilize the talent. Now I don't know how the quality of the match is going to be, because like most guys, we see like strong people like Kane or Brock Lesnar or Big Show come in and just throw somebody with one arm, like, and just throw, or lift somebody over the top of their head and just throw them out.
And you know, it's funny because you're saying that the only two strong, big strong ones I see is of course Ross, Nia Jax at SmackDown's Tamina. And I feel like what they're going to do is going to oversell Tamina like they did Survivor Series.
Could.
And so, only reason I don't like is because I feel like they should have been doing this with Tamina. Like, they really don't have a booking idea for her.
Yeah, it's just like she's just paired with Lana as a backstage type.
And then they're not even successful. It's just like they just want to give Lana a manager so we won't have to make her wrestle. So, but you know, time will tell, man. But still a good thing. Still a big land, like you said, historical moment for.
I mean, it's good for like the pioneers who paved the way, the Mae Youngs and Fabulous Moolah. And some of the Trish Stratus and Sable.
Which, saying that, I hope Trish Stratus actually comes back. Maybe a possible entry.
It could be. It's gonna be. There's gonna be a twist to it, I think. But do they have 30 women?
That's what I'm saying.
Are we gonna see NXT call ups, or is it gonna be what? I mean,
because from what Wrestle Talk says, Wrestle Talk TV on YouTube, they say that take out Charlotte, take out Alexa, of course. And I think because Nikki Bella is still one, I think
that might be how they bring her back.
That could be, but that leaves, I think there's only 19 active women that's on Raw and SmackDown. So you have possibly, like you said, if Nikki comes, that'll make it 20. So you have 10 to 11 openings for either being NXT call-ups, returns, or new people coming in.
That's true. That's true. So I guess we just have to see.
Definitely be excited to see
how they do it. And since we're still with the women with Raw, I know last week Alexa Bliss got her first taste of the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
Oh, okay. I did see that they faced each other.
She pinned her clean. Well, didn't pin her. She put that arm lock on her. And Alexa, you know how she does,
of course.
In defeat, she's just all flustered and everything. But she just gets her first taste of Asuka. And then here lately, in terms of just the absolution, it's to me it's losing its.
It's hype.
His hype is not there as it was when Paige first came back. Like the first 2 weeks, it was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then I think that first night when all the women came down together and then I was like, okay, I'm over it now.
Yeah.
It's done now. Because you can't come back from that next week and then just jump somebody when you just got beat down.
Yeah, you see that if the odds were stacked up, the whole team would come out, like the whole women's team. Yeah. But now it's like they can jump somebody again. Oh.
And I know they teased Asuka a couple of weeks ago, and then they finally tried to jump in, and that's what made everybody come down once they tried to jump.
Which
Asuka.
The weird thing in retrospect, if Asuka is like technically supposed to be like the strongest woman right now, the strongest woman, why would that require the entire women's division to come protect her?
I thought they should have let Asuka stand tall against all three of them. That would have made it more
right.
Like, wow, we need to stay back of her. Yeah. And every time they see Asuka, they avoid her.
Exactly.
And then it would have been built up that way.
Yeah.
And then maybe if Asuka, I don't know if you would give her a title shot before Mania or Royal Rumble.
I think
but she's in the Rumble. So, but I'm saying if she were to get a title shot, maybe have Absolution cost Asuka a chance to win the title, and then have her and Paige kind of rival each other for a little while.
That's true. I mean, honestly, I feel like if you could beat the champion clean, you should have a title shot. Maybe they should push that for Royal Rumble.
They should, because she's got to have an opponent at the Rumble.
So
I mean, there's really nobody else on there. I mean, she hasn't fought like Sasha, Bayley, like 1-on-1.
But I guess they'll wait.
James, and she's only fought like Alicia Fox and these little other no-name women that we don't know who they are.
So, who knows, man?
We'll see.
Speaking of Royal Rumble, man, we don't know all the matches that are coming up. Of course, we have the 30 men and 30 women's Royal Rumble Battle Royal. A couple of matches, the championship matches that are up for the triple threat match between Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, and Kane. Mm-hmm. We haven't used that in a while.
Can you do it one more time?
I don't know why Kane is in this.
And the more I think about this, it's not even the fact with Kane. Because like how we were saying way back in, what was it, No Mercy, when Brock and Braun fought.
Right.
Braun should have won it then, kept the title till now. Have Brock come back, beat him for it, get it back, build it that way.
Yep.
But now we get Kane from just...
Because really, the only reason I feel like Kane is in there is that so he can take the pin. Whoever they give it to, which of course is looking like it's going to be Brock Lesnar. But if by the off chance that it is Braun Strowman, that Kane is going to take the pin. So neither one, whoever wins between those two, because it's still Braun and Brock. You know, of course,
that's the build of the match, really.
Right? Mm-hmm. So whoever wins, Kane is taking the pin. So both of them still comes out strong at the end.
Mm-hmm. And then Kane even tried to partner up with Braun last week and was like, "Hey, you know, let's."
Yes, I heard about that.
And I'm like, you hate this guy so much, but I guess it's kind of one of those things. Like, what was the thing you said a couple weeks ago?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
So it's like, hey, let me and you work together for this common goal to try to eliminate Brock. And Braun was just like, you know, he wouldn't have no parts of it. He was like, nah, man, you do it yourself. Yeah. I don't need you to take down Brock Lesnar. So
man, don't like it.
And I think at the end, like Brock, they say Brock for the end last week, and you know, Paul Heyman comes down talking about how he doesn't have to get pinned to lose, and
of course
how he's, you know, been up against different odds and overcome it, and challengers versus challenger, and all this the small talk Paul Heyman does. He didn't really do a nice promo last week to me. That was
really
to me. I didn't think it was like I've seen like jaw dropping like like the one he did on Jinder Mahal was like,
oh my goodness, yeah, that was bad.
It was just like, and the ones he did back during the time when Brock was feuding with the Undertaker and stuff like that. Those type of promos. So it was just kind of like he was just talking. Kane comes down and just comes in there. He comes into the ring now. Kane is not fearful. He comes in there, grabs Brock by the neck, and then he chokeslams him. He chokeslams Brock. Bam. And so he just stands there and look at Brock, and then as he's leaving the ring, he turns around and Brock's just laying there. And then Brock sits up like Kane he's laughing when he's sitting up. Brock is like laughing, and Kane's like, and then so Brock gets up, comes out of the ring, and they're fighting outside the ring, and then the whole like roster comes running down. Oh, that's dope. The roster runs down. I thought Strowman was going to come down, but Strowman didn't come down. It was just Kane and Brock.
Strowman told that man do it himself, man. He was like, I ain't coming to fight.
It was so funny because like Brock was just laying there for a minute. Like, I was like, one little choke slam hurt Brock like that, and then Brock just sat up and was looking at Kane and just started doing that little laugh.
You thought.
So I'm like I said, I'm not excited for this match.
I'm not.
The only part I really care about is just seeing Strowman and Brock go at it again. I thought WWE should have just built it based off let Strowman beat him at No Mercy, and then have Brock come back around, give Brock time off TV for a couple months.
And this is why I feel like they should let Braun win it, because it's like, but I know they're not, because like we said, we still know the Royal Rumble. I mean, the WrestleMania is going to build up between Brock and Reigns.
But the thing is, I don't know where they're going with the IC title. Yeah, I know it's going to be him and Joe.
And honest, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I know it's going to be those two, but I don't know where it's going. How are we going to proceed to have Roman and Brock encounter each other again?
Honestly, I feel like what they really should do is just let Roman just keep the IC.
Title versus title?
No, not even that. Take him out the heavyweight. He doesn't have to be Universal Champion. I feel like him with Intercontinental has been really good so far. Like, he's been having some good matches.
He has, but to me, it was just like when they threw the United States title on. It was just like, remember how Cena said, you took that title as a demotion. Like, you didn't.
But he hasn't taken the Intercontinental as a demotion. He's actually doing justice to it.
He's doing justice for it, but the Miz is back tonight. And the Miz going to want his rematch.
And he's going to lose again. Miz is still out doing movies.
But my thing is the Miz really wasn't doing much with it when he had it.
Yeah, he just talked.
The most he did was when he feuded with Ambrose for like 6 months.
And it was good. The feud was good, and then it just went too long.
I just got tired of it.
Yeah, it went too long.
And then now we got Roman. He is kind of defending it against newcomers, but I just don't feel the tie. I think he's there for the main attraction. WWE builds him as the guy. Yeah. Let him challenge for the Universal title. Maybe give Finn Balor an IC title run. Let him and Joe feud over that belt, or let him and Miz, or give us something fresh that we haven't.
Yeah, he can do Samoa and Finn.
Yeah, Samoa and Finn over the belt, or whoever. But I mean, my question is right now, I don't know how they're gonna build toward WrestleMania with Roman in there, because I don't want them to, like, 4 weeks before Mania, 3 weeks before Mania, try to rush a feud between them.
Because he, honestly, for it to still be Roman, he would have to at least lose the IC Championship.
That's why I was saying he would have to lose the IC title. And then last week it was funny because before Paul Heyman went out last week with Brock, he was standing in the back, and they just had saw the end of the Samoa Joe Reigns match, and Kurt Angle was looking at the TV, and so was Paul Heyman. He was looking at, like, okay, Roman won. And then he'd say, now to other news, other important stuff. Like, you do know there's a conspiracy that Kane and Strowman may try to, so-and-so to my client. Right. But I thought that they threw a little snippet of Heyman looking at the TV at the ending of that match. And I'm like, okay, so maybe this is really going to happen.
Yeah, it could.
It could. I don't want to see it, but...
And that's Raw's main event for that. And then on the SmackDown side, we got AJ Styles putting himself in a handicap match against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Well, he didn't put himself there.
He kind of did.
I thought AJ was just kind of frustrated at the moment because...
You got to watch what you say.
He didn't lose those matches because of his own doing. It was because of Shane McMahon. It was because of all the distraction that's going on with
But that's like me going out and I get beat up by, like, 2 guys that get jumped, and then when they're walking away, I'm like, "Oh, y'all gonna just jump me? Y'all might as well shoot me right now." Like, why would I make it worse on myself? Exactly.
Since you said it,
right?
I get where you're coming from, but in a way, it kind of does look like Daniel Bryan is favoring.
That's true. That's definitely true.
I think he's doing it despite Shane, because Shane wants to try to make these guys' lives hell while they're there because of what Kevin Owens did to his dad, and he feels like Sami Zayn robbed him of an opportunity of his revenge versus Kevin Owens.
That's true.
And they've been like a thorn in his side ever since they joined together, and he just cannot get the best of them.
You know what? Now this would be hilarious, which I know it's not going to happen. But maybe if there was some kind of course, we're waiting for the moment that maybe the doctors would clear Daniel Bryan to return. If not, then his contract expires, I think, August or something next year after SummerSlam. And so now this handicap match is a championship match. And so we were talking before this that, who's going to take it? Is Kevin Owens, one of them going to turn on each other so they can win it by themselves? Or I was saying that, maybe they'll hold it together like how the New Day was a 3-man holding a 2 belt. And I was like, what if there was some way that we're setting up for Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan, of course, is kind of advocating for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, that if they win, they be like, you know what, we're going to give this belt to Daniel Bryan.
That would be that would catch me.
I mean, I really don't see any, like, even with the character, I don't see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn doing it. But I think
Shane is going to try to find a way to make a stipulation. Like, if they lose, then something has to happen. Even though they've tried that several times, and it just... Because even with if they would have lost to Nakamura and Orton, they would have lost their jobs. But we saw how Shane screwed them because he was counting, and then he was just like, he just stopped, and then then it kind of went back and forth, and then Daniel Bryan, that was the fastest count I ever saw. He was like,
quick.
He hit that 3 count quick. But I like the feud, though. It's giving SmackDown something different, and then we've seen AJ and Kevin together, and now it's Sammy in the mix. But it's just like, what are we doing with our other superstars?
Yeah, that's true.
What's going on with Nakamura? What's going on with Randy Orton?
Because they're way too focused on just them two.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that because they're putting so much effort into that feud, they're not really being creative with everyone else.
They're not. And the big thing is just, it's like, so we already know that Nakamura said he's in the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton has already said he's going to be there. We did find out Dolph Ziggler walked away from the WWE per se after he won at, was it Clash of Champions? The next night he comes out. So officially, I don't know if it's true that he's actually gone or not.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything further.
Yeah. So it's a United States Open Challenge going on right now, tournament or whatever for the belt. I think we got Bobby Roode in the mix of it. Xavier Woods won his match last week versus Aiden English.
Xavier Woods?
They got Xavier Woods in it.
Man, if they give him a belt, I'd be super excited.
He's in it. Then you got Jinder Mahal, which we always said we felt he should have been there to begin with. So we know officially he's out of the main title picture now because they've moved him down to U.S. title, which is good. He won his match to move on. I think he fought Ty Dillinger. They just pulled him from obscurity because he's been gone for like 3 months.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, Ty Dillinger, you're in the United States Championship.
I was about to say, he was in the triple threat match with the Baron and AJ. And it's like, oh, you're gone. We'll put you back into this one, guy.
So he beat him, and he actually won clean.
Okay.
Jinder won clean.
Jinder. No sins?
No. Sins were there, but
no sins.
He won clean. And then who else is in there? You had, I forgot, Xavier Woods, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and there's another person that's in this thing because it's down to 4 now. Then the final, the championship match is going to be at the Royal Rumble, so it's going to come down to it at the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
So Jinder Mahal has to. Oh, Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder fought each other. But I didn't know who won that match, so I didn't get to see that match.
I can already say, even though I feel like they're going to give it to Jinder because they always love to give the United States to a foreign champion. So, but I was wanting it to be Jinder and Xavier, just because even though Xavier it'll be weird seeing him on the single bout, but I feel like Xavier really has a really good skill set, like his move sets or whatever. And I feel like, and he sells really well too. So I feel like Bobby Roode versus Xavier would be good. But I mean, of course, Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal wouldn't be bad, of course, either. And like I said, it looks like it's going to be leaning towards either one of those. More so Jinder, because like you said, WWE is historic for having United States championships given to foreign competitors. But that's it, man. That is what's been going on with the WWE. Go ahead.
You can't do this to him, man.
Oh no.
Because Matt Hardy is now woken.
Oh yeah, the woken. But they have, and I like that, man. I really do. And him and Bray Wyatt have continued to feud, but it hasn't gotten physical.
He showed up one night, like 2 weeks ago. Bray Wyatt was preparing for a match, and just after he won, or no, I don't even think the match had a chance to even get started or something.
He was on the Titanatron.
No, it just got dark. No, when he came down and when the lights flipped on, Matt Hardy was like, really, like attacking him. Okay. He got away. He tried to do like the little twist of fate, but then he pushed him and rolled out of the ring. Okay, and then he's just. Bray Wyatt's backing up like he was shocked. Yeah. Because, like, as soon as he did his little, as he was coming down the ring, he did his little, when he blow the light. And Matt Hardy was, like, there on him. So, that's the only time that I've seen they got physical with it. Okay. So, this is probably going to be a Rumble match between them.
Well, I'm glad it's gotten physical at least, so.
Because I got, every week it was Titantron. Okay, you say this, okay, let's flip the match. Okay, let's flip back to Bray. Okay, this is what he has to say about that. Okay. And then it's over. So it's probably going to be a Rumble match between those two.
So add that to the Rumble list, man.
But as of yet, we haven't seen any WrestleMania build.
No.
I still know there's speculation of Triple H, Kurt Angle, so I'm pretty sure Triple H will make his return in the coming weeks, and we don't know what else.
Triple H might be in the Royal Rumble.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I don't see him winning, but I feel like he might come in there just to screw somebody over. Like Jason Jordan might be in there, and Triple H comes in there to just solely take out Jason. So
because they kind of left the door open with the whole thing with him and Strowman, and we don't know if Cena might get thrown in there. They might throw Cena in the Royal Rumble. He might pop in there.
That's true.
So it's a lot of stuff that's still.
Well, I thought you said Cena was in the Rumble. He declared it, right?
Did he?
I thought he said he declared it.
I know Orton and Nakamura did. Now Cena came back Christmas night, and him and Elias had a little run in with each other, which was kind of funny.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
I saw that. I did see that.
So I don't know what their plans are for Cena for the Royal Rumble going into Mania, but I wouldn't be surprised because he wants to still get that 17.
That's what I was saying because like I said, something I saw from Wrestle Talk TV is that John Cena comes in, but they're going to make him, since him being a free agent, if he wins, he can go he can pick either one.
Yeah, he can pick either champion.
But he would go SmackDown. So that way, Brock and Roman can still have it.
Yeah, then would you think they would do him and AJ at Mania?
As good as they had last year at Royal Rumble?
That Royal Rumble match was
exactly
the match of the year for me last year.
Yeah, so I really think, especially they can amp it up on WrestleMania.
And then he beat Styles to be the... But then who does that make Styles heel again? Because Styles is kind of face right now.
I don't think it turns anybody.
It didn't turn anybody?
I think Cena has it. They might even... I don't think they'll give it up like the next night kind of rematch and AJ wins it back. But I feel like he might hold it to the next SmackDown pay-per-view.
But I feel like they owe it to AJ to give him a Mania moment. Let him go into Mania as the champion and win because the last two Manias... Like his first Mania with WWE, he fought Jericho. He lost.
Yeah.
Then last year he beat Shane McMahon. But those aren't really...
those aren't
two big primetime matches for your biggest person that you drew away from your biggest competition.
Right.
And I mean, I'm always bidding for Nakamura versus AJ.
And that's what I heard would be another idea that
Mania.
Nakamura will win. But since they said Cena might be coming into the thing, that's where they turned it.
Mm-hmm.
But before Cena, I heard that it would possibly be Nakamura versus AJ, which I think would be excellent.
I think it would be too. So, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's all we got for WWE. So we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to get into a little bit of basketball action, man. NBA, college basketball, and then, of course, we're getting closer and closer to the time, that national championship, Georgia, Alabama. We'll talk about that before we end, but as always, we are Sports Moves, 2 Moody's,
1 Duty.
Sports. We'll be right back.
All right. Welcome back to Sports Moves, our first podcast of 2018.
That's right.
2 Moody's,
1 Duty.
Sports. Right now we're in the part of the segment where we're going to do a little bit of college basketball. We haven't really touched on it as much. We're kind of getting into the flow of things with college basketball right now as college football is ending, as we get marching toward March Madness. But I'm just going to run down the top 10 right now of the college basketball world. First off, the notables right now. Outside of the top 10, number 12 right now is North Carolina. That's my team, my baby when it comes to college basketball, although they have disappointed me over the last week and week before that. They lost to Wofford. Then we lost to Florida State in a close game last week. And then on Saturday, we lost to Virginia. So right now we're sitting with 3 losses down to number 12 in the rankings right now. And then also another program with basketball royalty, several national championships for the University of Kentucky. They're sitting at number 17. I thought that was kind of, not unfamiliar territory because it's still early in the year, but we're so used to seeing those 2 programs being dominant. And then last year they had that epic Elite Eight game to determine who was supposed to go to the Final Four. And to see them sitting outside of the top 10 right now, got to keep an eye on those 2 schools to see how they build their way back up. But number 10 right now at 12-3 is the Kansas Jayhawks. I know they had a surprising loss last week. They had a win streak versus Texas Tech, and their home court is called the Allen Fieldhouse. As long as that building has been there, they have never lost to Texas Tech at home.
Oh, wow.
And Texas Tech beat them unranked, came in there, beat them at home. So Kansas is 12-3 at number 10 right now. So I thought that was very shocking to see Texas Tech go in there, given the fact that they've never beaten Kansas at home, and to go in there and do that. Number 9 is Wichita State at 13-2. This program has just been kind of building their way up over the last 3 or 4 years, going up against some of the bigger schools and just kind of making some noise up against them. And I like what's going on at Wichita State, and they're just one of those programs that's getting better with each year. Number 8 from the ACC, Virginia, who's 14-1, fresh off their win versus North Carolina on Saturday, held the Tar Heels to only 49 points on Saturday versus them. Virginia is a really good defensive team. I still think they're going to be in the thick of things when it comes down to the ACC regular season title and the ACC tournament later in the year. Number 7 from the Big 12, Oklahoma at 12-2. They just lost a close one to the team that's ranked above them on Saturday, to West Virginia, who's at number 6 at 14-1, or Bob Huggins. And West Virginia is looking really good to start the year over there on that side of things in the Big 12. So I think it's going to be between them and Oklahoma to really, for much of the year, to determine who's going to win the Big 12 in college basketball on that side. Right now we cracked the top 5. We have Xavier at 15-2. They were 15-1, but they just came off a loss this past weekend as well. But they still remain in the top 5 as of right now. Number 4 is Arizona State, sitting at 13-2. Number 3 is Villanova at 14-1. Their only loss of the year came to Butler when they were ranked at number 1. And that was 2 years in a row that Butler beat them on their floor when they were number 1. So last year and this year, every time Butler and Nova plays, Butler has beaten them when they're ranked number 1. Okay. And right now, number 2 is Duke at 13-2. They've lost on Saturday to NC State. So that was a close game as well, down to the wire. NC State was able to pull away, handing Duke their second loss of the season. Duke's only 2 losses of the year came at the hands of Boston College and NC State on the road. They're undefeated at home. And number 1, back at number 1, is Michigan State at 15-2.
Okay.
So for Tom Izzo and the Spartans are sitting at number 1 right now in college basketball. So that's pretty much how your top 10 look right now with college basketball. Again, we'll keep an eye on it. I don't know if we have any notable games on tonight. I'm going to take a quick look to see if there's anything going on with college basketball tonight. I know the big game with college football, it may not be as many college basketball notable games tonight. I'm not seeing any.
I was about to say, while you were looking it up, I was going to say with Michigan State being at number 1, it's funny to me because I remember a few years ago, Michigan State cracked the top 4 some years back. I don't remember the exact year, but I remember that time, they were a decent team, but no one expected them to get that far. So to see the growth in them from then till now is really
Michigan
good to see.
State has always been a respected team. And it's like they seem to get better as the year goes on. And every time they get into the tournament, like they'll end up in the Final Four, and you're like, "Dog, Michigan State, who did they? How did they get here? How did they do this?" Because like everybody has their idea of who the front runners are going to be, and that just goes to credit to show you that Tom Izzo is probably one of the top 5 coaches in the nation right now.
And underrated at that.
Yeah, and Michigan State, I mean, right now, number one, they did lose an early matchup this year to Duke when they played Duke 1-on-1 to start the year out. And then I think they lost one to Kansas, I want to say. But, I mean, they're still, and I don't even know if that's accurate. So I know they lost, I think the only 2 losses. I'm going to look it up right quick just to make sure that I am giving them the right team's credits for who won and who lost. But they're still number one. A lot still can change from now until February is when it really gets really good in college basketball, because you have teams trying to fight for position for their own conference,
Right.
And everything like that. But let me go back down there, the games that they played this year. Their only losses came to, they beat North Carolina 63-45. So that's a notable win for them. They lost to Duke, so Duke was one of the losses, 88-81 back in November. And the second loss for them, I want to say, I'm trying to see, it doesn't show who they, Ohio State beat them.
Okay.
So it was Ohio State and Duke right now. But Michigan State still looking like the front runners right now in college basketball. But right now we're going to shift things over to the NBA right now, where Mr. C. Moody is going to take over that and give us some things of what's going on in the association.
Definitely, man. In the NBA, we got action going on tonight. A lot of action actually going on tonight. Starting it off, there's a game going on right now between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. I was about to say Indianapolis. My bad. Currently, they're in the first quarter. Pacers are up 15-12. And, of course, we expect to see a good game out of the second leading scorer of the league right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's currently leading, like I said, number 2 in points with 29.1 average. Another game's going on tonight. We got Toronto Raptors versus the Brooklyn Nets. Houston Rockets versus the Chicago Bulls. I think you had something about Harden with injury.
Yeah, James Harden, as we know, is suspected to miss at least a month of action with a hamstring injury he suffered a few games ago. So the Rockets are trying to, right the ship. Even before Harden went out with injury, they were in the midst of a little losing streak. I know they had a debacle in Boston a few weeks back, and then they played Golden State the other night without Harden and Chris Paul. Chris Paul is now available, but Golden State was still able to get the victory. But Houston is still in the two seed right now in the West, but Harden is out with a hamstring injury for the Rockets.
Okay. Another game's going on tonight. We got Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. Good team, the Timberwolves this year, under the helm of Jimmy Butler, kicking it off for them. I actually have heard a lot of MVP talks with Jimmy Butler.
It could be, and then surprisingly, Harden's still up there too. But a lot of people feel like if Harden misses a month of action, how can you still consider him for MVP?
Right.
But
have a good squad, man. They have also, you can't forget Wiggins, and then Ricky Rubio, who we've talked about before he even got in the league, just how phenomenal of a passer he is. But next that's going on in the NBA tonight, we got Detroit Pistons taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. The double front court of Anthony Davis and
Marcus Cousins
Boogie. So we got the San Antonio Spurs versus the Sacramento Kings. Denver Nuggets taking on the defending champs, Golden State Warriors. And tonight, the Atlanta Hawks going into LA to take on the Clippers.
Now, I do know with the Spurs, they're without Kawhi Leonard.
Still.
Yeah, he just had, he returned. He's only played 8 out of 40 games this year, and he's missed 80% of the season. Okay. So, right now it's a shoulder injury that he injured on Saturday night. So, I guess they're going to kind of monitor that to kind of see how that's going for Kawhi Leonard. It seems like he's had a rough little patch here since the end of last year going into this year. A lot of people felt like they were going to take down the Warriors if he doesn't get hurt in game 1 with the whole thing with the ankle injury and everything. But He has played in 8 games. I mean, with him being back, I think the Spurs are fine without him. They can still coast to the playoffs without him. But they're because you got Pop there and you got LaMarcus Aldridge and all these other pieces around them to still make. They're still number 3 in the West without him. So I just feel like he gives them that extra because he's a great two-way player. He can play defense and he can score and do some great things too.
Definitely, man. That's what's going on in the NBA League tonight. As far as the top teams in the East and the West as it goes right now, for the East you got Boston Celtics at the top, 33-10. At number 2, we got the Toronto Raptors at 27-10, which has been for the last few years a very good regular season team. So far, it hasn't dwelled over into postseason. But, I mean, DeMar DeRozan has been playing really good basketball this year. Number 3, of course, we have Cleveland Cavaliers, 26-13. Washington Wizards at number 4, 23-17. Miami Heat is up in there, 22-17 right now. Okay. Behind them, then we have the Milwaukee Bucks, 21-17. Tied with them is the Detroit Pistons at 21-17, and then it ends off at number 8, the Indiana Pacers. I still want to say Indianapolis. They're at 20-19. On the outside looking in, we got Philadelphia 76ers, which is a very good team.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're as low as they are. They just gotta try to find a way to
They gotta get their chemistry.
Get the chemistry together.
Yeah, and then right below them, they're evened out. 76ers are 19-19, and then right below them is the New York Knicks, 19-21.
Yeah, and the Knicks have been kind of up and down too. I like what Kristaps has been doing. They're doing much better than they've done in years past, and the Sixers are looking good too. It's just they just got to find a way to get in on a little win streak. But I overheard Colin Cowherd was saying last week. I was watching a show about Joel Embiid being in the league for 4 years and never played a back-to-back in his entire NBA career.
Wow!
And he was like, "How can you not play a back-to-back, but we give LeBron or these other star players a hard time when they sit down for a rest, but you're the centerpiece of this team and you can't even go out there 2 nights in a row. How do you expect to do in a 7-game series?"
I don't like that.
He's just like, how can you be... He said that's like Tom Brady saying, I'm only going to play 7 games this year. I'm going to sit down for 9 of them.
It's not the same. It's not the same, man. Well, the difference I feel is though, like LeBron, he takes like just random time off, like, and I do feel like just because he say he doesn't play back to back, I feel like that doesn't mean he's not playing a lot of games. That's a part of NBA. Oh, man. It is. It definitely is. But and then here's another thing. You see that with the bigger guys, like once you get over 6'10", though, you see a lot of people have short careers at least for the newer comers, like Yao Ming. You see once the people who get really tall, they don't have that lasting years, and they be really good, but they burn themselves out really early, and so I feel like that's the precaution that he's taking right now. It
4 years though.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't give him an excuse.
You've never done. I can see if you've done a couple of them, but you ain't never.
He's been injured for like 2 whole years, seemingly. I mean, I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me, but I feel like you didn't see him for 2 entire years. So it's like I get it, but I mean, compared to someone like LeBron, if we're trying. LeBron and him are two different
And he
calibers.
Also brought up that thing of with the whole thing with Harden like being considered for the MVP being out for a month. So he's like, if you're not available for your team, you should not be considered MVP or you should not be considered, for the success of the team because you're not available. You're picking and choosing. Well, Harden can't help because he got hurt, but that's a choice to sit down and not play a back-to-back as opposed to someone who gets hurt or something like that. But it's not a big deal. It's Philly. They're still a young team. Yeah. They're on the rise. I still feel like this team they could very well still sneak into the playoffs.
Get into the playoffs this year.
I mean, they're much better than what they have been. And they've dealt with injuries with Simmons and Embiid and stuff. So now it's finally coming together for them. But Colin just was giving Embiid a hard time.
I understand that.
But speaking of injuries and returns, we do know Curry is back from his injury and he's picking up right where he left off. He had a game winner couple games ago against the Mavericks in a buzzer beater 3-pointer.
Yeah.
He's been having some strong performances since his return. Also, for the first time for the Cleveland Cavaliers, we have seen Mr. Isaiah Thomas finally on the floor for the Cavs. I was really happy to see this because we've seen what Kyrie can do at Boston, and that's all we've had to see with the eye test. Now, I will say I was kind of upset that they brought this dude back a game before they played the Celtics on a back-to-back, and then didn't play him the next night, which I understand. He just coming back. You don't want to work him too hard. And then, of course, I felt like then some people say, well, you should have just not brought him back. Just brought him back the game he played Boston. But you don't want to bring him back in the hype of all of that. Then he goes out there trying to do too much or something, and worst case scenario gets hurt again.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's back. He's played 2 games. The other night, Saturday night, matter of fact, versus Orlando, they had Cavaliers won that game 131-127. He had 19 points in 22 minutes. So I think you still need to give it 15 to 20 games just to see how he's going to mesh with it, you know.
Yeah, and definitely when you're saying between those two teams, another person that hasn't been back yet, and it's no telling, I don't remember his timetable, Gordon Hayward for the Celtics.
Oh, I think they're still saying he's done for the year. They were saying it could be a stretch that he could be back playoffs, but as of now, it stands he's done.
But my imagination, the hype of it is that they're number one. And he hasn't played a game.
So imagine how much better date Boston could be.
Exactly.
But and a lot of people say it's going to be between Boston and Cleveland in the East, which we feel it is. But when you just read those standings, you went down the whole Eastern Conference. Like, everybody's there.
Yeah.
It's even. There's no sub-500 teams in the top 8. And in years past in the East, we've seen teams with losing records
make it in. So everybody's above 500. That's in the top 8. Yep. For the West side, we have, of course, at number 1, the Warriors, 32-8, still haven't broken double digits in the loss column yet. The Rockets are 27-11. Behind that, at number 3, San Antonio Spurs, 27-14. At number 4, Minnesota Timberwolves, 25-16. Oklahoma City Thunder, behind them, 3 games back, 22-18. Denver Nuggets at number 5. 21, not at number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had a 6. I had to count it. Number 6, 21-18. Sorry about that. At number 7, Portland Trailblazers at 21-18, tied with Denver. And for the West, number 8, even 500 record, New Orleans Pelicans, 19-19. So, like, for once, at least at this time, everybody on the East is above even.
Yeah.
So
big thing for me for the West. I don't know if you heard whiff of Mr. LeVar Ball's comments about Luke Walton, the head coach. He is in Lithuania right now, obviously, because he pulled his son from UCLA. I mean, obviously, and all that. But he was interviewed and he was asked about, I guess, the Lakers or whatnot, and he proceeds to say that Luke Walton, the coach of the Lakers, does not have control of the team.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
It's making mainstream as always with LeVar Ball. That's who he is. That's what he does. By now, we should know to expect this from him, and it's not going to stop. And the thing is, I saw a lot of analysts today talk about it, and even Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Mavericks, kind of went to the defense of Luke Walton, saying that because he's the president of the Coaches Association for the NBA, and he was just like, I don't think Luke Walton deserves that because you're telling me a player's father is commenting on whether or not a coach has control of his team or not. And at this point, he was just like, and for the media outlets to run this story, like, it's no validity to it at all. Right. It's just like,
I mean, take away his credit, his sporadic fame that LeVar has. Is just a regular dad being mad at a coach. Yeah,
I mean, he did the same thing in UCLA. He called out their coach saying that he's doing this wrong or doing that wrong or whatever. And then a lot of people felt like at this point, Lonzo is the only person that can put a stop to this.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Skip and Shannon debating this morning of like, look, you got to pull Dad to the side and be like, look, Dad, because I got people side-eyeing me at practice because of your comments, and they probably maybe feeling like I'm saying something to you to make you come out openly and say this stuff. Like, you literally can't do this. This has to stop. This is my career. I have to play with these guys. I have to travel with this team. You're not here. I have to, be the one to deal with the backlash of your comments. You need to tone it down or don't say anything at all.
Right.
And then, but all Lonzo proceeded to do when they interviewed him, he was just like, well, that's who he is. Like, he's going to speak his mind. He's going to speak how he feels. I mean, he's always been that way. He will always be that way.
I was thinking that. I was like, from what I can tell, like, every time they have a situation, all of the Ball children is like, my dad has always been this way. And he's never been anything different. So.
Mm-hmm. But do you think that's okay?
I mean, no, that definitely doesn't give him a right, especially considering how much popularity he has right now to use his platform to still be that same outlandish, outspoken dad that you don't want to hear as a coach or any kind of, higher form of authority, organization.
But so, this is the NBA.
This is like super professional.
Yeah, like and then Luke Walton was just like, he's just not buying into it. He was like, I feel like the team chemistry is good. We're just in a rough patch right now. We've lost a couple games. They lost like 6 in a row when Lonzo didn't play because he was out for a little while. He came back. So, I mean, it's always going to be something with LeVar. So, I mean, we've all come to expect it, but I just really wish that maybe that father and son can have some type of talk and just try to remiss the distraction. Calm it down some, Dad. That's
definitely. So before we get out of NBA, I have to let you know who the league leaders are in points in the NBA. As always, kicking it off at the top so far all this season has been James Harden, averaging 32.3 points. Right behind him, like I said earlier, is Giannis Antetokounmpo at 29.1. At number 3, we have Stephen Curry at 27.8. Number 4, we have LeBron James, the King, at 27.6. And then at number 5 is Kevin Durant at 25.9. Mm-hmm. That is all we have for NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
That's it. I just wanted to make one more comment on something that I saw on NBA. I think it was Friday night. Paul Pierce said that the 2 best athletes in the NBA is LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if you could have saw the look on Chauncey Billups' face when he said that, he was just like, really? He was just like, you're going to say that? But he corrected him. He was just like, you can't, like, he's a pure athlete. He can play. Giannis is amazing. Right. But he was like, you're going to put him over Russell Westbrook, put him over Harden, you're going to put him over. He was just like, as far as like complete player and everything.
I wouldn't give him a complete. I feel like
I don't think he
as pure athlete, maybe.
And
I would still have to put Russell in that in between those 3. But Giannis just has to grow. I feel like now in some years from now, we possibly would say this. Like once LeBron retires, I would stretch it as far as considering how far his potential can be. We could say that Giannis would be like maybe the next LeBron. Not a LeBron, but of course, just in that completeness because he has the athleticism. He just really has to work on his shot, work on being more aggressive and stuff like that. He has a lot of stuff he can work on, but I wouldn't give him that now.
Yeah, and Paul Pierce said, I was like, it's too early to say that. Give the chance for the guy's career to develop and for him to fix the stuff that he needs to focus on to develop his game the way he wants it to be. Now, LeBron, I agree with that. But, I mean, I think I could possibly think of, probably top 7 players he's in there with possible, LeBron, Russ, Curry, Harden. You got Kawhi when he's healthy.
Yeah, healthy
definitely.
Kawhi. Just 2 years ago, they were saying that Kawhi was the best complete player.
Durant, you got Durant.
Yep.
I hear people saying that now about Durant.
Yeah.
So I think there's still a lot more talent out there for you to just put it down to just those 2, LeBron and Giannis. It's really early to say that. But that's all I have to say on NBA tonight.
Okay. So now, when we come back, we're going to talk about what's about to go down in a few minutes, less than an hour away, less than half an hour away. The college football championship game between Alabama and Georgia. We will talk about it briefly so we can all watch it together. We are Sports Moves, 2 Moody's,
1 Duty.
Sports. We'll be right back.
guys? Welcome back to Sports Moods again, our first podcast of 2018. We've already covered everything all the way from the NFL to who the guru of the year was, which was myself. Congratulations to me.
D Moody with the win.
A wild card recap and our picks for the divisional round and who we thought or think will be the NFL MVP of 2017-2018. Then we kind of dove into some WWE action, talking about Raw and SmackDown Live and potential things that could be happening as we move toward the Royal Rumble. And then we talked a little bit about college basketball. We had the top 10. It's revealing to you the top 10 rankings right now in college basketball. And then we went on into the NBA, talking about the NBA standings. Some returns from some key players as like Isaiah Thomas and Kawhi Leonard's injured. We know Harden is out with injury, and just some of the other things going on around the association at this moment, and some of the games that's taking place tonight. And then now the grand finale of it all, the college football playoff national championship game tonight between Alabama, as I always say, Big Bad Bama.
Big Bad Bama.
And the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia.
So as we know, prior to this, the top four in the college football playoffs was Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama.
Yep.
And we saw Oklahoma and Georgia go at it in probably one of the best
Great
Rose
game.
Bowl games you will ever want to see. I watched every minute of that game. I was just reluctant to even turn to flip channels to go look at the Clemson-Bama game because it already had started while that game was going. I was like, I'm staying right here. I'm going to watch this to the end.
Not moving from this.
I mean, big ups to Baker Mayfield, an unbelievable season that he had, winning the Heisman. And it kind of looked in the beginning of that game with Georgia that Oklahoma was going to run away with this thing. But, Kirby Smart. Great comeback. His team just kept fighting and digging, and they came back and won it in double overtime. A key block field goal, and then Amazing went on to win it. They're in the national championship game, and then Clemson and Bama 3.
And people thought it was going to be like the big one. This was going to be the boiling one. If any of them would have went to overtime, it should have been this one, just based off of the hype of the last few years. But it wasn't the case.
It wasn't that case this time. Nick Saban was not having it this year. And you could really see that I'm not taking anything away from Clemson. They had a remarkable season. Yeah. To say they lost what they lost prior and to still go back to the college football playoff to have a chance to fight for a championship, you got to give credit to Dabo Swinney and his staff for that. But Bama they weren't having it. It's revenge. And they were already kind of ticked off because people were saying they should have been left out. So that's more motivation for them coming into the playoff and then having to play Clemson first. So it's like a revenge tour for them.
Yeah.
And in that game, they won it 24-6. Clemson didn't even score an offensive touchdown in that game. Just 2 field goals. Bryant Kelly just could not figure out that Bama's defense.
He couldn't. He was just in trouble the entire game.
Yeah, Bama and Jalen Hurts. He did decent, but it was more of the defense of Bama and the scheme that they run.
Right.
And they just really took it to the Tigers in New Orleans and won it 24-6, which makes this an all SEC national championship game. This is the second time in the national championship game's history that we see two teams from the same conference. We saw it back in 2013 when LSU and Alabama played one another, where Bama defeated LSU for the BCS championship back during those times. But now this is the first time ever in the college football playoffs that we saw the committee select two teams from the same conference, and now we're seeing two teams from the same conference play for the national championship. Also tonight, guys, if you're big Kendrick Lamar fans, he will be performing at halftime of this game.
That is right.
So his left stroke just went viral. So, he just wanted me to let you guys know that. But back to the game. It will be played tonight in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
which is super sold out.
Super sold out. And also, that stadium next year will host Super Bowl 53.
How about that? Mm-hmm. It's funny because I actually have some family that's in Georgia, and they was telling me about it. They said the people who are in Atlanta, like the home people, and say go ahead and come by transportation, come by bus.
Because you're not
because the people who's touring, the roads are gonna be horrible. They say if you're a local and you're coming, you just need to go and park your car, find the train, find the metro,
whatever you got to do to get there. So I can imagine it is sold out. I mean, you're going to have a lot of Georgia people because Athens is not that far away. This is basically like a home game for Georgia. But really you can believe the Tide faithful will be there.
It's going to be full.
It's only a couple of states over, so they're going to make that trip.
Oh, they got them buses stacked. Bama, like I can see if it might have been like, a random national champion team. But Bama, like this is like the most consistent college football team right now, champions wise. Yeah, they're coming fully loaded,
full force. So it's gonna be some red and some crimson just all mixed together for this game. Bama's looking for their 5th title in 9 seasons under Nick Saban. Well, I mean they're just looking to pretty much solidify their dynasty, and Georgia's looking for their first national championship since the 1980 season. So it's been a while since Georgia's been in this position. Just getting into the facts of the game, Nick Saban is 11-0 versus his former assistants. As we all know, they've been saying that all week long.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirby Smart, this is a different type of assistant. I mean, he worked with him there for 8 years. Like, a lot of people call him the Nick Saban Jr., basically.
Wow.
Like, him and Nick working relentless hours together, coming up with a game plan and strategy for teams that they're facing. So they know each other very, very well. And just looking at both of these teams, the way that they're set up, they have 2 young quarterbacks. We got Jalen Hurts, who's a sophomore, and you got Jake Fromm, who's a freshman quarterback, who actually looked really well last week. I mean, in some big moments in that SEC championship game, and then last week in the Rose Bowl, he made some key throws. So a lot of people was just thinking, well, he's a freshman, he'll get rattled. Like, make him beat you. But Georgia still, I mean, you still got Nick Chubb and Michelle who can run the ball well. I think if Georgia's running game, if they can establish that run game, which Bama is really good against the run.
I was like, if they can somehow overcome, because like you said, their running game is really like their key to break out any of their games. But that's the thing. Alabama is known for
that,
stopping any run game.
So it may come down to the young quarterback who's got to actually grow up tonight on the big stage and will Georgia to victory. I'm not saying he's got to go out there and throw it 40 or 50 times like a Baker Mayfield to win. I don't think it's going to be a shootout game because, like I said, I didn't feel like Georgia could keep up with Oklahoma last week to score as many points as they did. I did not expect a 54-48 final in that game.
And like I said before we got to that point, I felt like Baker Mayfield that's really it. Like, I hate to say that there, but I mean, Baker Mayfield was really the all in all for Oklahoma. So once they were able to at least balance themselves against that, because they weren't really able to stop him.
Yeah, they put 48. He put 48 points on the board, but they just had key moments when I think they had a couple of sacks on him and they took I think he threw an interception too. Yeah.
And see that showed a lot for me. Like that once they got the pick, I was like, even though he has thrown picks this season, but Baker Mayfield has been the most accurate, precise, with the less amount of flaws type of quarterback in college football. So for him to have that struggle, even though it's just one interception, that meant a lot. Seeing that it was Baker Mayfield.
And the thing is, Georgia pride itself. I just like the will of what they had last week, and I think a lot of that momentum it's infectious, and I think it's going to carry over into this game against Alabama. I mean, and just on the Bama side of things, man, it's Nick Saban. He's been in this position so many times. He's got 4 championships with LSU. 4 with Alabama and 1 with LSU when he was coaching LSU. So he's only lost 1 title game he's been in. So, I mean, he's been in this position more times than you can count. And I don't feel like the stage is ever too big for him.
No, not at all.
And I feel like, given the fact, like they were talking about today, that you only have a week in between these games, usually you get 13 days max, 14 days maybe.
Like for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like you prepare for it, like you get an extended period of time. So it's just like, well, then one of the guys was like, well, maybe it's just like any other game, like where you have a week to prepare. But he was like, this is the national championship game. So it's like soon as your game is over from a week ago, that Tuesday, that's not an off day. You're back at it again, preparing for this next team that you have to play. And I think Nick Saban is probably he is the best coach in college football history. I will go ahead and say that.
Okay.
And I feel like in terms of having his team prepared, he will. He has just been the GOAT at this, like for the last 10 to 12 years. What do you think about this game, and what do you see, and what do you think are some of the keys to the game that both teams have to do in order to?
I mean, really, honestly, I feel like the load is on Georgia to make something happen. Because, like you said, Nick Saban's been here. This isn't like, even though this is the biggest platform for a national, for college football national championship, for Alabama, this isn't unusual. Mm-hmm. Of course, they might have some, rookie guys
new
that's
pieces,
coming in,
new players.
But yeah, as far as this organization, this is almost routine. I hate to, I won't go as far to say that it is, but just their consistency there. There's no real goosebumps for them.
They're not enamored by the lights and all this big.
This is
almost an expectation.
Yeah, this is what we do. So so it's really it's on Georgia to do something, and like I said, it's really going to come to if Georgia can at least have some kind of success passing. And the only reason I say passing first is because I feel like the passing will allow them to open up where they're strongest at is their run game. Because they need the run game. But we know how good Alabama's defense is with the run. But if they can start to pass at least enough to kind of get them on the edge and then shoot some good run plays, that'll make a difference. I do feel as though Georgia's defense is good enough to combat against Alabama. So I feel like on the defensive front, they're pretty much even to me. I mean, of course, like I said, Georgia, I feel like Georgia's better as far as passing while Alabama's better at running. But I feel like that evens them out with their differences. So it's really going to be up to Georgia being able to execute some pass to open up the run game. That's what it's going to be on. Because like I said, for Alabama, this is it for them. They know it. They've been there. Nick Saban knows how to get them there, know how to cross it over. So it's whatever Georgia has that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, I do think so too. And I think the key point in the game is going to be time of possession. I think third down conversions, who can control the tempo on third downs. Will you be able to extend drives, or will you go 3 and out?
Right.
Or even field position, because turnovers always link into field position. Where did you turn the ball over on the field? Did you set Bama up in a good field position where they can score? Or did you put Georgia back them up against their own end zone where they're pressure and then there's a possible safety, or they have to punt out of their own end zone? Because little stuff like that in a game like this, when you have two coaches that are just so detailed and just focused in on every little metric of the game, little things like that matter. It may not show up on the stat line, and it may not show up on the highlight reel, but it's a contributor to whether you win or lose the game.
Right.
And I think that it's going to be a chess match between them. They know each other so well, so it's just like making sure that I don't show my hand too early. It's just like when you're playing cards. It's like, hey, I don't want to throw out my best card early because I want to see what the other guy has first.
Yeah. And that's, like you said, that's probably the only kind of real strategy that Alabama has to do. They don't have to overexert themselves, like you said, with the card strategy. See what they're going to do. All right, that's what they're trying to do. Shut it down.
Yeah, it's
now what else
reaction.
They got?
It's just pretty much a reaction to what they're doing. And it. I feel like when you first, I think for Georgia, they need to come out and hit Bama in the mouth first.
Oh yeah,
they need to do that first. But a lot of times, a lot of these games, it's like a boxing match. You're just trying to feel out your opponent, and then then you start throwing haymakers and see what you can do. But I think it's going to be a heavyweight showdown. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to go. I'm telling you, man, I would love to see Georgia win this game.
Me too.
And last year, I picked against Clemson, and I said Bama was going to win, and Clemson won. But we don't have that type of quarterback on the field tonight.
That's true. Definitely true.
Deshaun Watson is like a once in a 20-year player that you'll get. So I'm gonna go final score of this game. I'm gonna try to even pick the final score.
The score
I'm feeling good. I'm the guru of the year. I done did all this stuff.
He knows it now. You got it all locked down.
I am going to go with a 27-21 final. Bama wins it.
27-21 Bama.
Yep.
That's 27. I'm writing this down now. 27.
I don't think we're going to see a track meet like we did in the Rose Bowl. I don't really think both of these offenses are set up to do that. But we did see it a couple years ago with Clemson and Bama, though.
Yeah.
Like the first Clemson Bama, they went like 45-40, But I don't think we'll see over 30 points in this game.
Really?
Team. This is going to be a dogfight.
So I'm going to just say this because this just jumped out. Just literally this score just jumped in my head just now as we were saying this. And I feel like they're going to score. It's not going to be just like a 6-point win. I feel like it's going to be more, not much more. I feel like it's going to be a 10-point win.
Okay.
Just like a touchdown, and they might have kicked the field goal just to kind of add that. You know how they put the dagger in at the end of the game.
There you go.
So, but I, as like you said, I agree with you. I really want Georgia to win. And in a sense, I'm kind of still going for Georgia. Usually, when I pick against somebody, they win. So it was very prevalent in the last 3 weeks of our NFL picks. But I'm going Bama. Like I said, just because they're too comfortable. I really hope that Georgia has something that's going to counteract them. But if not, Alabama's been here too many times, and this is too. Like you said, they haven't seen this kind of platform since the '90s. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's going to make the difference. Experience is always the biggest advantage, in most cases. Mm-hmm. So with that's.
So who'd you say your score was?
30-20.
30-20.
I didn't. I remember I didn't say the score. 30-20.
30-20, and I said 27-21. Okay. So that's our picks for the college football playoff national championship game. Again, we're getting ready to close out the podcast so we can actually go enjoy this epic matchup.
Right.
We thank you guys for listening. Thank you for bearing with us. I know it's been several weeks since you've heard from us last, but both of us working in retail and the holidays, and then this past week we had some bad weather here with snow and ice in South Carolina. Can you believe it? Snow and ice in South Carolina. What is the world coming to? But we're back, and we're going to try to be more consistent as we have been, keeping up with everything NFL-wise. And we won't have any more college football, so it's just going to be more of an NFL, WWE, NBA, college basketball. Yep. And that'll be kind of what our podcast is built around over the next few months until.
Right. And then if we might hit a couple of snippets in something unusual. I mean, in other sports.
Yeah.
But it's based off of, like you say, what we see. But that's pretty much the main thing you're gonna get from us, man.
Yeah. Again, thanks, guys. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Enjoy the game tonight. Again, at Twitter, you can find us at SportsMoods. On Twitter, I will be tweeting with the quickness with every big play of every game. I will be watching it. I try to keep you guys up to date as possible. And then at Instagram at
It's Sports Moves. And if you follow me, you see the last post has been Baker Mayfield winning the Heisman. So I'm gonna get better at this Instagram consistency.
Get better, Moody. We have fans waiting on us to hear from us and see from us.
We actually have like 80 followers on Instagram, like 81.
That's awesome.
So I got
the Twitter page is not doing that great.
But you're the most consistent.
I'm the most consistent. I think we're at 15 right now. It has grown a little bit, but I would love to see more on Twitter. I don't know if people use Twitter as much as
that's the thing I think, because my wife doesn't use Twitter.
Yeah, so I don't think people use Twitter as much anymore.
So, but hey, it's a platform. We know the big dogs use it, so that's why we need it.
And then we also can be found on Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio, definitely. We actually have, as of late, have had a good bit of people listening off of iHeartRadio, so we appreciate it. We thank you guys, as well as our followers or the places that's been watching us from Ashburn, Virginia, Timmonsville, South Carolina, most consistent. Seeing some from around the state, Charlotte up to New York, over to Cali, even outside of that over to Canada, and then as far as Australia,
New Zealand.
So we appreciate everybody who's watched it. If you're more consistent with us, we thank you for following us. Please talk to us. Give us some feedback. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. We want to hear from you. We want to get better. We can only do that by working together, guys. So,
all right.
Without further ado, man, we are getting out of here because there is a game on. So, as always, it's C Moody here with
D Moody.
We are Sports Moods. That's 2 Moodies,
1 Duty.
Sports. Enjoy the game, guys.